is mental health an adventure? I don't know if it's an adventure or if it's a really, really bad roller coaster ride.
So it's wanting the roller coaster ride desperately to be over.
Yeah, exactly. It's the nail gripping. It's the white knuckling. Oh my God, when is this going to end?
Right. So it would be like being suspended in that first drop.
Right. Well, and I'm not a roller coaster fan, but you know, anything where you're like, it's that.
Right. Sure. So you're actually the reason why I came out of the mental health closet, so to speak. And now I speak openly about my depression and anxiety. When did you start to, and what inspired you to do so?
Really, it's a rough question. I wasn't aware that I was in the closet. I thought everybody knew. I thought everybody I interacted with was 100% aware of this. I think one of the challenges with mental illness, with depression, anxiety, is that it is so all-encompassing that you aren't necessarily aware that other people have no idea what you're going through. It seems unthinkable that people don't know what you're going through because it's so extreme to you while you're there. I got involved with a group called the Peyton Project when a friend of mine from high school's son committed suicide. And I got very involved with that, crocheting little hearts and giving them out as to raise awareness. And a year later, another friend from high school lost her son to suicide, and I got more involved. And I was asked by my congregation, I think it's 2 years this January, if I would speak about this program. They were doing what they call a series of TED Talks, and they asked me to speak about it. And unfortunately, at that window of time, I fell into one of the deepest depressions I've ever been in my life. It was, I can't even describe it. It was very, very challenging. My son had just finished cancer treatments. I had had a bad year at business. There were all kinds of moving parts. And no, it was a year after he finished, but there were all kinds of moving parts. And I had sort of ignored my mental health for a long time because there were so many moving parts. And when everything stopped moving, I collapsed. Given that, when I was asked to talk about the program, I actually got up and said, I'm depressed. I live with it all the time. And people who had known me for over 20 years were unaware. A thing with people who are depressed, not all of us, but many, is that we mask really well.
Yeah.
It's self-defense. A lot of today, you often hear, well, think happy thoughts and put on a smile and you'll be happier. And you know what, if you're having a down day, those things are all true. Mm-hmm. If I'm just having a day where I'm feeling down, if I smile more, I feel better. If I think about happy things, I feel better. If I'm depressed, that's not going to make a difference. But our society, at least until recently, I think we're changing a little bit, we're becoming more aware, has always sort of been think happy thoughts, push through, you'll get past it. So I think most people with depression have learned to mask because there's a stigma attached to it.
What does your depression feel like?
So I wrote an article, tease it up for me. I wrote an article right after Robin Williams committed suicide, which actually I suppose is when I first came out. And I compared depression to living with an ape. And it really does feel like that. So when it's really bad, I mean, it's like you've got King Kong on your back. You can't breathe. You can't, it hurts to do it physically, can hurt. the mere act of making a meal can be overwhelmingly exhausting. And you think to yourself, well, this doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing anything physically. Why am I so destroyed? Because the brain is controlling everything, and your brain is just, it's down. So when it's really bad, it can feel like there is a massive gorilla sitting on you. You can't move, you can't think, you can't accomplish, you can't get anything done. You can't concentrate. You become indifferent to those around you who you love. Not actively indifferent, but situationally indifferent.
You just don't have the capacity.
You got nothing, right? You're empty vessel. When it's good, it's more like a spider monkey. You know, it's a little thing. You can walk around and you can carry it. It might get in your way sometimes. You still have to be aware of it and take care of it, but it doesn't necessarily keep you from being a functioning human.
What's a spider monkey?
It's a little tiny monkey. They're really cute.
Oh, do they spin webs or?
No. That's just what they're called. They're just little monkeys.
Okay.
Little monkey. Exactly. But I mean, so, and there's a whole range in between those two extremes. And the reason I love that description is that somebody who's not depressed can very clearly, if I say to them, I've got a gorilla today, they can grasp that means that the depression, the emotions I'm dealing with are big and heavy and are causing me a problem. You know, if it's an orangutan, if it's a chimpanzee, if it's a spider monkey, there's ranges. And because you can picture in your mind what those differences look like.
Empathy, that's critical for people who don't know what it's like to experience something outside of themselves, like you mentioned. And to me, that's the cog, right? That bridges the gap between. No, that metaphor isn't working. But that's what's key for people to understand, right? To put themselves in someone else's shoes. If they have empathy, if they have that understanding, if they listen, if they educate themselves, right? They read up on
acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, being able to say, I don't understand it, but I accept it. That's huge.
Right.
You know, I accept that this is how you're feeling. I accept that this is what you're experiencing. What can I do to help? I hope that there are people who watch this, people who see my TED Talk or read the article, or who aren't afraid to step up and say, please help me.
Well,
please tell me what to do. Please tell me where to go. Please listen to me.
Yeah.
You know, my helping, I say this to people all the time, my helping a friend go through this is not a burden on me. This does not add to what I am carrying. It lightens it.
Right. And what I found that's pretty incredible is when I felt comfortable enough to speak about it, at networking events and sort of, the small networking settings, the breakouts. If I'm at a table of 6 people, 3 people will open up about their own struggles with mental illness. And it's really neat that that opens the door for that conversation. And, you feel a lot less alone.
I've had many people email me or call me after a networking event and say, hey, yeah, me too. But they don't, they don't want to, I don't know what a better phrase is. They don't want to be out with it for whatever reason.
Right.
They're ashamed. They're scared. I had somebody say, I'm worried that people won't want to do business with me.
Well, that's exactly why I wouldn't talk about it. That's one of the main reasons.
Somebody doesn't want to do business with me because I deal with mental illness. Bye.
Yeah, but it's been the opposite. When I, one of my niches is mental health awareness and advocacy. And when I say that to people at networking events, it registers very well. I mean, everyone, so many people, no, everyone knows someone who struggles. If they're not, they have someone close to them.
Yeah. And I think you've become more of an ambassador and more outspoken than I am, because you've taken this as one of your keystones and something that you're working on and working towards and working with. And so it's not only part of who you are as David, it's also part of your business.
Right.
For me, it's who I am as Lise, and it's part of my social action work, but it's not necessarily part of my business.
So have I dethroned you?
You want that throne? It's all yours, baby. I think that things like this, talking about it, being open, being out there, is important, because there are so many people who don't want to own it, don't want to be out with it, don't want it, whatever, because for whatever reason. The more people who are open about it, I think the fewer people there are who are going to feel a need to hide it.
No.
So I think that's really an important thing.